what that juror had to say when she said, that boy. And the idea that Andrew or I would have a kid that couldn't come home from the store and that some black guy, let's say, was sitting in the car that the cops say to stay in your car that wasn't even a cop, he just had a gun on him, a Tech 9, and would kill my kid feet from my house, is inconceivable that he would walk out. Where does the conversation start? Is it guns? Is it state laws in Florida? Is it the justice system? Where do you begin the process?
You begin the conversation at the place where when a white person sees a black person, what do they see? They don't see Barack Obama. They don't see the Attorney General. They don't see millions of black people, Ken Chenault, and many black people who are great and celebrative, judges and lawyers and CEOs. They don't see that. They see the black criminal. They see the black person who has the potential to hurt them. We've got a fixation in the American psyche that a black person represents harm, represents criminality.
But you know the reaction to that? People are going to say, wait a minute, I've heard Jesse Jackson say something similar that he'll cross the street. I've heard Bill Cosby say something similar. I've heard Barack Obama talk about his own family, saying that they cross the street when they see certain people of color here. So it's not just, the Zimmermans of the world. So how do we get to that?
I said American psychic. That includes Jesse Jackson. That includes Barack Obama. The whole thinking in America, the problem begins at the place where a black person is given the benefit of the doubt that he's a criminal. And he has to prove that he's not. And it doesn't make a difference whether that perception is by a black person or by a white person. If that is what is driving these actions, then we begin there.
What do you say to somebody say, you know what? Don't wear a hoodie. It wouldn't. It would make the situation less of a problem. How do you respond? You've heard that, right?
Yeah. I do. No, I have no response to that. That's just outrageous. That you're going to say that now you're saying that the clothes that a person wears makes them suspicious. That's for me.
Guys, jump in here, I know.
Pastor, you traveled the country and the world, as a matter of fact, and you have the pulse of the community. You're an expert at it. So a question that I think all of us have, we're watching how in Florida, protesters are taking over the governor's office and so on. How far do you believe this is going to escalate in the days ahead? How far is the outrage going to go?
I think it's going to be affected by the kind of leadership that is given in our communities, not just national leadership, but in our local communities. I believe that this is a tremendous opportunity for the black church to step up and become a healing center. You see, the black church has been an incubator for the hopes and dreams of African American people. And we've taken frustration and disappointment and turned it into opportunity. We've got to work hard with our community to let them know what's the long-term results, not what's a short-term response, not a visceral response, but what is a strategic action that can be taken to change this. And the frustration is that, we're going to mark the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington on the 24th of August. And many of the statistics that define black life in America are unchanged 50 years later. You still got lowest economics. You got a Supreme Court that's taking away voter protection. You got a young black man who gets killed for walking down the street. Same kind of mentalities exist. So it's going to require leadership, not just national leadership. This is not President Obama's problem. This is the problem of local communities, local pastors, local leaders embracing and recognizing that. First thing we got to recognize, we got a problem. We've got a problem. Let's not sweep it under the rug. In America, race is a problem, and we have not fixed it. We've got to fix the race problem in America.
I'm curious, you mentioned that fearful view in the American psyche of black Americans. Other minority groups have been tarnished with negative stereotypes in the past, and many have worked past it or seem to overcome that. Why does that still linger?
Because none of those groups, none of them, had their discrimination grounded in the color of their skin. We are the only people who, the worst thing that racism and discrimination did in slavery was to attach the skin color to the discrimination. And that's going to always be there. An Italian who comes from Italy, he comes and after some years he integrates and he doesn't walk down the street with a black face and carry on the stereotypes. A Jewish person comes here, other people from other, but a black face attached to the historical slavery in the psychic of America means something different. And that's why it's been hard for black people to climb out. We cannot mesh into the broader profile.
How do you correct that?
Well, I think you correct it by addressing these conversations, by taking it on, by having little steps of progress. I mean, we've had some progress that I think has helped diminish. I think the successes of African Americans at the top level have helped it. But remember this, the masses of black people's economic situation has gone little changed since 1955, Richard Nixon. The statistics say that. That the quality, poverty, consistent recycled poverty, rekindling poverty perpetuates violence and crime. And if people get in a cycle of frustration, generations of constantly, and then a prison system that puts black people disproportionately in jail, judicial system that attributes drugs, even in the Reagan administration, where drugs were associated with the black community, and the policies of the government at that time, the Drug Enforcement Agency. Nobody raided white communities. Raids were in black communities.
Pastor, I gotta hit a break here, but stay with us. When we come back, we're gonna change topics, but it has to do with race as well, and New York City politics for that matter. Mayor David Dinkins, he is out with a new memoir, and in it he claims he lost his mayoralty because of the color of his skin. Our full political panel joins us right after this break, so please stay with us.